It's episode 5 of Figureoutable. Today I'm going to tell you how I fixed my anxiety. But first, I want to let you know that I do think it's a very serious subject. I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, and I did not go to school for this. With that in mind, as I go through this episode, feel free to be as critical as you wish about anything that I have to share here because I'm going to get deep and I'm going to talk about how this personally affects me and everybody else that I deal with. I think the general consensus right now is that anxiety is a bad thing. What if I told you anxiety is not your enemy? It's your alarm. Most people do not spend a lot of time introspecting, thinking within themselves, talking with themselves to figure out what's wrong with their life, their surroundings, or their choices. And if you're one of those people watching this video right now, chances are you're probably not one of those individuals who is not introspective. It's an extremely important part of life, and by seeking to understand yourself, you can seek to understand others, you can gain clarity on your life, and you can make forward motion. It's the most important thing. Anxiety is your alarm system. It's telling you that something is wrong, and that something is not always clear. Generalized anxiety affects people by basically making them feel uncomfortable in their own skin. And the definition of anxiety is that it's characterized by feelings of fear, worry, unease, or apprehension. Apprehension is generally just fear. The worst part about it is when you don't know why it's affecting you and you don't know what it's coming from. What I'll talk about in all of these episodes for as long as we do this YouTube channel is the importance of self-development. If you're not actively looking to grow and you don't know why you would want to grow in the first place, I promise you, you're probably struggling with some form of anxiety or depression. Clinically, what happens to a lot of people when they struggle with these things is they go to a psychiatrist and the psychiatrist says, "Hey, nothing's wrong. You're totally fine. You're perfect. You're amazing. It's just a chemical imbalance." And they'll attempt to prescribe you some sort of medication. But what if the medication is just a band-aid and you need stitches and the stitches are a pathway to a better life? What if that medication that you're going to go on is something that prevents you from actively seeing what the real problem is and doing anything about it? And so those are really important questions to ask. Unfortunately, being that I'm not a psychiatrist, I don't know what your use case is for anxiety. I don't know if it's severe or if it's mild. I don't know if it's because you do legitimately have a chemical imbalance or you are actively doing nothing about improving the quality of your life. I can tell you that personally, I've been affected by anxiety, and I can tell you that my anxiety came from the fact that I wasn't living a good life. I was not introspective. I wasn't analyzing my decisions. I wasn't asking myself the tough questions. It wasn't until I started something, tried something that was positive, that was new, that was different, and that was good in my life that anxiety was not ready to dissipate. Here's the recipe for a high anxiety life and how to reverse it. You don't have good friends. You don't have any hobbies. You have no interests. You hate your job. You don't make enough money. You have substance abuse issues where you drink regularly, smoke regularly. You watch television or play video games as your form of relief. That's the recipe. The thing is, pretty much everything I listed here is within your control. So how you fix that recipe is by dismantling that list of shit that basically makes up your life. I'm not here to tell you that life is easy, and I'm not here to tell you that you willfully signed up for a tough life, but what I am here to say is that there are things you can do to try and dismantle the anxiety that's attacking you every single day. And I think it starts by recognizing that it's an alarm bell and not an enemy. You have to do the work to analyze it, take a look in the mirror and say, hey, how much of this is true? How much of this anxiety is me just being negative towards myself and not treating myself like a friend? And once you've identified what it is that you are doing wrong, try to fix it one piece at a time, not everything. Your anxiety is telling you something's wrong. Are you brave enough to listen? We have these rare moments where we look in the mirror and we don't like what we see. And the vast majority of us, myself included, are going to turn away really, really quickly. Oh, it's hideous. And we're going to look away. But what I'm trying to say is that it's worth staring at that person in the mirror for a long enough period of time to see what you don't like and own it. And it starts with forgiving yourself. You may not like what you see in the mirror the first time that you look up from the mirror, but whether you're 19 years old or you're 99 years old, you have to look at it, take it all in, and give yourself a little bit of grace and forgiveness. You didn't get there necessarily on purpose, okay? You might have gotten there through neglect, but you definitely didn't try to end up with a life that you hate, right? You didn't try to cultivate a person you don't respect or love, but you're there. So look at it in the mirror. Don't turn away. And try to identify the things that are within your control to fix. And you got to start today. I talk about this, and I probably will talk about this in every episode, that doing something with yourself is the most important thing you can do for your tomorrow and the people around you. But if you try to bite off more than you can chew, it's all going to fall through, and you're going to be back in front of the same mirror with even more resentment towards yourself for not following through on your internal commitments. Guys, I want to hit you with some quick facts about anxiety, things that are actually statistically relevant. Prevalence in the United States, around 19.1% of US citizens have had an event related to anxiety or are dealing with some form of anxiety today. That's almost 1 in 5. About 4% of the global population has anxiety. Let's hold on to this for a second. 19% of the US population has anxiety, but only 4% of the global population has anxiety. What does that tell you? Something's wrong with the society that we're in. Modern Western society might be a little bit broken if almost 20% of us dealing with this stuff here in the United States are having a problem with anxiety, but 4% of the global population, meaning some dude in India who's much poorer than myself, speaks many more languages than myself, has a much more difficult job and way of life, doesn't have anxiety. I think it tells you something. The next stat, gender differences. Women are much more likely to have anxiety than men. Age and onset and youth prevalence. A roughly 31% of people aged 13 to 18 years old are dealing with anxiety. So the youth is getting attacked, women are getting attacked, and people in the United States in general have far more anxiety than those on the global scale. Only 1 in 4 people with anxiety are going to seek treatment. And after COVID, when people were locked inside their houses, anxiety cases spiked. I wanted to share those stats with you because I think it's an interesting perspective on what we're going through. If you live in the United States right now and you feel the squeeze financially of not having a great life, you can't pay your bills, and you don't have money to try new and interesting things or travel the world like your favorite Instagrammer does, yeah, you're going to feel some anxiety. You're going to feel like you're missing out or getting some FOMO. The fact that 1 in 4 people is not going to receive treatment might align with the fact that there's content like this out there telling you that you may be able to solve your anxiety problem from within. But it also speaks volumes that many people don't have health insurance in this country and necessarily can't afford to go to a psychiatrist to seek treatment. So I'm only making this video to let you guys know that at one point in time in my life, I definitely didn't have it all figured out, and I still don't. But I was not doing anything with myself that was positive. I was smoking a lot of weed, hanging out with friends that weren't really my friends, playing video games with all of my free time. I worked at a restaurant, and it's not particularly inspiring work. In college, I was flunking out of some classes and getting a lot of C's and D's. I would walk into the classroom and I would sit down and I felt like all eyes were on me. I was having a mini panic attack in the middle of a classroom and I didn't know why. And so I would talk to my friends and family about it, and they didn't know why either, because on the face of it, when I was at work or with my friends, I was a fun person to be around. I seemed happy and positive. But the flip side of that coin was that I wasn't happy. And getting out of bed was a challenge for me. Doing good things that were also difficult was also a challenge. I had no work ethic. I had no discipline. I was absolutely dealing with anxiety. And it wasn't just money. It was about this idea that while I was 20 years old and I had my whole life ahead of me, I wasn't sure how bright that picture was going to turn out by the time I was 40 or 50 or 80. Was I going to have a family or career, financial stability? It wasn't until I decided to experiment with psychedelics that I did enough inward looking that basically determined, hey, you know what? The reason why I feel like this is because my brain has been telling me to make a change and I'm not doing it, and I'm going to start now. So I could sit here and give all the accolades and credits to the psychedelics that I experimented with and say that that's what changed me around, or I could take all the credit away from that and tell you that it was the work. And I really think it's important to note that it's both. I'm not saying that psychedelics are your answer, and I'm not telling you not to seek psychological treatment if you do deal with anxiety, but I am saying while you're in it, while you're in that moment of discomfort, take the time to look within and see what you can change about it. Because I have a feeling most of you guys dealing with anxiety are not dealing with your life's problems. And you're lying to yourself about the life that you're living and telling yourself that it's okay because, hey, maybe your friends are doing the same thing you're doing. And that makes you feel like you've got good company. Just because you're the shiniest turd in the basket doesn't change the fact that you're still a turd. Just because your friends are doing it and just because the rest of society is doing it doesn't mean that it's the right thing for you. And if you're getting anxiety, it's probably telling you it's wrong. Start small, write down a list of goals, leave comments here. Let's have some dialogue. If you guys are interested in something or you have questions, let's go back and forth. I would love to be a part of your personal path to setting the first set of goals for your own life. Make them small, make them large, make them out there, shoot for the stars, but pick some stuff that's tackleable right now, something that you can accomplish right now that is going to give you that sense of accomplishment and that extra gas in your tank to tackle the next biggest item. As always, guys, I believe in you. Shoot for the stars. Drop a question, comment below, and subscribe if you like this channel. Have a great day.